Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Allan. I'm from Maddie's. We create merch for NFT owners and collections across the world, enable them to upload their NFTs and really merchify it and create an e-commerce store on the front end so they don't have to worry about it and help them earn a buck with their NFT. I'm here today to help these guys bring you a little bit about what the NFT world crossing over into the real world. So we're going to give a few minutes for introductions, and they can take it from here, and then we'll ask some questions.
Cool. Hey, everyone. My name is Richard. I run a company called 4K. It's literally 4K.com. What we do is we bring physical assets on chain. Been around in crypto for a long time. Was on the Cypherpunk mailing list. Ran a venture capital fund. Started a validator company that's acquired, et cetera, et cetera. But love physical asset-backed NFTs.
Well, I'm Allan, Carroll, one of the founders of Bacon Coin and also LoanSnap. We're doing the first decentralized home lending on-chain. We take your home and turn it into an NFT that then you can use as collateral in our lending protocol or other lending protocols and actually bring that real-world connection for houses onto the chain.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chris. I am CEO of Uniqly, and we are doing NFTs backed by physical assets. Also, and our NFTs are also in Metaverse and AR. For example, this is our official collab with Cyberkongs. We do merch for them. Cyberkongs were minting this. And yeah, now they can redeem it into real world and put this into Metaverse and AR world.
Awesome. So, in your, you guys' experience and what you guys are bringing into within your companies, let's just dive right in. And how do you guys see the NFT translated into the real world, right? Like right now, I mean, we just were at Thanksgiving. I'm guessing you guys were bombarded with all these questions about what are these NFTs? Why do you, how do you make $1 million? Can I give you $200 and you give me 1,000 next week? We were just bombarded with the questions because people don't understand what NFTs are. So I guess the question is, and from what people even think about is, it's a funny picture, it's a JPEG, it's funny money, it's crazy. How do you guys see how that has been translated now into the real world and shifting away from the images and collector into actual assets and world value that people can tangible and use it?
I can start with this. So, bringing physical assets on chain, onto blockchains in general, has been one of the basically holy grails of crypto for the last, 5-6 years. In the earlier days, there was some companies that tried to do this with either real estate or gold coins or some unique type of asset. It just hasn't really worked out well. What I think was really needed was we needed a vehicle to be able to do this seamlessly and arguably trustlessly. And I think before NFTs, it was really QR codes. I think that was the best vehicle, literally vehicle to do so. So with the advent of NFTs, we saw this great opportunity to actually create arguably a digital title to a physical asset in the traditional world. And as a result, this opens up a whole new asset class to the entire crypto sphere, which has been completely untapped. Collateralization and lending against these physical assets, liquidity, AMM pools, derivatives, ETFs. So the first goal is to teach people about NFTs, and it's been JPEG driven, but I think NFTs really fall in 3 core categories. The first one being digital art, and that's what everyone's really focused on. The second one being metaverse, which I think is coming around, but a little early. And the third one's kind of what we're doing is basically, digital property rights for physical assets.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about how NFTs are not just for art. You can take a piece of a house, the value of a house, and bring it on chain, and then that title piece is available for use with any of the protocols and kind of the Lego bricks around on chain. But at the same time, putting a JPEG of your house on chain is kind of a fun thing. We've built these, have an artist come and do a rendering of the homes, and that's almost as fun as the actual value that you get out of bringing the house on chain. So it's that real connection between the real world of this basically ownership piece, this scarcity, and then how do you compose that in interesting ways. And I think we're starting to see that either in the metaverse thing and with physical assets, but just taking pieces of the real world and representations, and how do you have the trust that whatever you're doing with that on chain will also be represented and taken care of in the real world, and governments and other people like mortgage lenders are starting to come around to that, and we're seeing the results.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think the NFTs backed by real assets are a really good business model. NFTs can help us with the proof of authenticity, but also they can be like tickets or maybe vouchers for physical assets. And I think company will like it. Like, for example, we sold around, I don't know, 11K of shirts and hoodies, but only 2K of people decide to redeem it into physical form. So we already sold 11K of shirts and hoodies, but we had to send and produce only 2K. And I think a lot of companies will like it. And also, if let's say I'm a collector of luxury watch, I don't want to keep 50 watches in my house. But if I can keep them as NFT, and I know I can redeem them in real time, that is good deal for me. And I think we are gonna make it, and this is a future.
No, for sure. I mean, the big buzzword obviously is the metaverse, and it's almost like a bait and switch because we spend all this time telling people it's real. It's not just a JPEG. It's not just a picture. And then when people really got in, now we're saying, well, there's a metaverse. Actually, we're going to take it right back to digitalize. How do you create now the parity within like you guys' own experience and companies that you guys are doing, the parity between the metaverse and bridging the gap now between something that it's digital, now it's it can be a real world asset, but also now in the metaverse. So it's almost like a two-step conversion, really, like in being able to bridge metaverse and within the NFTs that you guys have or work with and you guys are doing. How do you guys doing that and solving for that?
So, when I look at this ecosystem, NFTs in general, digital art, and metaverse and stuff, what I see when I look around is just feature set improvements. Like constantly inundated by feature set improvements, feature set improvements, feature set improvements. What we need to see is magnitude of improvements. Two things. One, it has to be a painkiller, not a vitamin. And the second thing, it has to be arguably a magnitude improvement. We're talking 10x better than existing, systems. And so if you look at those two criteria, it's actually really rare when you see something interesting or compelling that fit both these two criterias. One of which we tackle the metaverse, right? So in a very short world, we're going to be rolling around in a VR Tinder. We're going to have, a Rolex watch on. You're going to have the NFT for the Rolex watch, which means you have money to buy a physical one. But let's take it to the next level. I kind of covered this a little bit, but we take it to the next level. Now let's say, how do we bring a pet into the metaverse? How do we bring, let's say we NFT'd a real life racing horse and brought into Zedrun and started breeding them, racing them. And if the real life horse dies or something happens to it, it causes this cascading effect within the game. We bring cats, like I call something called Meow DAO. You have a whole bunch of cats and you merge with Axie Infinity. This is what I find really compelling. It's the hybridization between the two worlds. So NFTing a Michael Jordan rookie card and bringing an NBA Top Shot having power-ups. Like this is what's compelling to me. This is what I see as a magnitude of improvement as opposed to something that's like really nice that like a little feature says like, oh, it's nice to have.
Yeah, we were actually just talking about this before. Should you take a house NFT and just bring it into the metaverse? And that's kind of a cool idea, but at the same time, I think we're in this phase of metaverse right now where we're taking the things we know and do in the real world or in the internet and just applying that to metaverse. But it's kind of a foundationally different technology, and we saw this with the internet. People got a chance to then do completely new things, but it took a while to figure out what were the completely new things we could do. And I think we'll have to go through this phase of just bringing what we know on, and then you'll start to see things that are just totally different, like Top Shots compared to just a basketball card. We could just take basketball cards and put them in metaverse, but this idea of like a play in a game being in the metaverse is just a totally different thing. And I think that's the cool thing we'll start to see. And we are playing around and thinking around with homes and how you physical spaces and lending and that kind of thing in the metaverse.
So from my perspective, big companies like Nike or Adidas, maybe they will go more deep into the tech space. For example, right now, if Nike has 99% of profits from the physical shoes, in my opinion, in the next 10 years, they will have 70% of profits from the physical assets and let's say 30 from the digital assets. Like they will sell the AR filter, they will sell the NFTs, and so on and so on. And I think that every of big companies will go more into digital space.
One of the big things for NFTs is the idea where, first of all, community, and you're part of a community, you're part of something, and you're purchasing NFTs, especially the PFP projects, it becomes an identity. Again, how do you guys feel like that can blur the lines between, how do you translate that within the digital and the physical? And I mean, you talked a little bit about the watches and things like that, but how do you personify a digital identity when now we're talking about, this universe, metaverse, all of that? Like, how do you reconcile the digital personification of your community, your being, your identity? How do you guys feel like that could be solved for?
Well, I don't know there's like a way to per se solve it. Now, what it does offer is kind of like a real life pseudonymous identity, right? So I can go around and roll through and I could be like people know me more by my punk than my actual name. People will know me more by my avatar. It's kind of like, if you're in the early days of IRC, kind of the same thing. You go at a hacking conference, guys know you as your pseudonym as opposed to your real name. It could be kind of like a hybridization. I don't know if there's gonna be a full replacement, and as these NFT communities really grow, we'll see what really happens. I'm actually excited to see what really happens. I think there's gonna be new novel ideas, completely untested solutions, completely new novel things that are being invented and tested that we just haven't really thought about at all.
Yeah, the community is the part I'm most excited about, and we see that in small communities. Think about a neighborhood and the people that live there and form a community. We're seeing that, in Discords now. But you also think back about the barn raisings that used to happen. The neighborhood would come together and literally build a barn for a new person that came into town, and that's something that now can happen in a new digital way. You think about it, somebody coming together, or a group coming together, maybe not physically, but a group of friends or a group of family that contributes and creates an NFT around this house. The barn is, they're able to buy the place and then form a community because they're all joined in this. They each have an NFT inside this block or inside this neighborhood that exists only in a digital world, and that becomes part of your identity too. Certainly, where you live and how you choose, the group and neighborhood that you live in is a big part of your identity as a person. And we choose the places we live because of the people around us. So it's really cool and exciting to me that we're taking that and being able to bring it to a whole new level and do it on a worldwide scale.
So yeah, the NFTs is mostly built on community, and the same is in the actual world when I have a Supreme hoodie and I go to I go to outside, or I will go to the club and I will see the guy with also the Supreme hoodie, then I will feel this is my good friend and so on. And the same we have with CryptoPunks and Bored Apes. And everyone want to feel like he has a lot of friends and so on. And I think a lot of PFP projects like Cyberkonks, Bored Apes, on the end of the day will be the big merchandising brands like Bored Apes are doing this right now. And yeah, I think Bored Apes is like just decentralized Supreme, but everyone can agree on that. And yeah.
For sure. I mean, I went to a restaurant with a friend of mine who was wearing a hoodie, and someone recognized, and they literally just came and sat on the table and started talking to us, and we're having dinner, but they just felt like an instant connection and talking, could not stop talking with us just because of that hoodie. So like the Bored Apes has done definitely something, props to them. Just to finalize, what do you envision the future now with the big brands coming in into disrupt? I mean, we're seeing Facebook change its whole core business to Meta, right? So it's almost like a train you cannot stop. It is coming, and it's going to happen. It's inevitable. When people ask me, "Oh, what do you think?" It's inevitable. It's going to change how we see things, how we view relationships, how we day to day. What do you think about the impact about the big brands now coming in? Because we're talking about decentralized and being able to not have control, and now we have the Facebooks and the Twitters like jumping in and maybe caging a little bit of that NFTs and metaverse and everything else? Like, how do you see that play a role into everything?
I'm going to be controversial here. I say, fuck them. Because basically, if you look at their business model, they are Web 2 revenue generating business model, and their sole purpose is to extract as much value from every community, every product and service that they offer. So a good example of this is, I'm going to use Christie's and Sotheby's as the example here. People make their money, most of us here probably made our money in crypto. Same Metacoven that made his money in crypto. And then he goes and buys his people off from Christie's and Sotheby's. Christie's and Sotheby's takes about a 40% fee generally, and probably maybe sales tax thrown in there. They take that money that funnels it out of crypto, and they're converting that into revenue or profits, and it's trickle up economics to the people that that already truly own these type of assets back in the day. And so we see when brands come in there, people say the counter argument is, well, they bring legitimacy. It's like, well, they would have ignored us in the first place. They discounted all of us in the first place. They're like, you guys are weird. Get out of here. We're not serious. And then when the money comes here, they're all like, okay, well, all right, we're vultures. We're going to be here to come vulture you guys and just come rob you. And then when the hype dies down, they all disappear again. This is the same cycle. Every single time there's a crypto cycle, the exact same thing happens. So, and see, brands are going to inevitably come in here. I just say, like, let's try not to support them. It's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I've been around the internet and Facebook and working with them long enough to know to never bet against them. But in this case, I think the new technology and the power of decentralization is going to make it difficult. As much as they want to go in, we have big brands and banks that are coming in and trying to make private ledgers that basically recreate the mortgage space inside of crypto, right, with a centralized ledger. But once you get the power of masses and the whole community working together, it's going to create a new world and a new space that we don't even, we kind of have the tiger by the tail, and it's going to run, and things are going to happen. And we're excited, especially with the Bacon Coin thing that we're doing, to bring those communities together and see where it takes off to.
I think right now in the actual bull market it's really cool to be in metaverse and NFT space. So a lot of mainstream brands will join us because this is a cool and it's free advertising for them. But if it comes to real use cases and so on, then we will see this in the bear market, if companies will join us or if they will don't join us. But yeah, I think right now the trend will not stop because it's really cool to be in this space, like we saw it 2 days ago with the Budweiser's beer. You saw it, beer.if, and they were selling them NFTs. So I think a lot of brands will join us right now, and that's all I can say.
Rebuttal on that?
I mean, there's so much to say, it's a long discussion, but I mean, because look, they are net extractors. So when Christie's and Sotheby's or whoever brands, when Adidas, do we really need Adidas NFTs that sell a bunch of sneakers? Sure, it's a nice to have. Is it world changing? No. Does it make the world a better place? Most likely not. Does it change economics for, the 99%? Not really. They're just trying to offload an asset that's nominal cost to create, maybe sub penny, and then they're trying to sell it for $30, $50, $100, $500. That's not a real economic engine that's really sustainable in the longer run, right? Secondly, when they take the money and they make $30 million, they take that and they actually sell off all the crypto. So you guys are holding tokens. You don't want them to do this because they're putting down all the sell side pressure on all the tokens that you hold. And so this is what happened in 2017 is when all the ICO companies raised capital. What they're doing is selling all the tokens that they raised in ETH or whatever to place this downward pressure on the market. And so as these brands, as more of them rolling in, they're going to be constantly selling because, again, why? The revenue generating, the shareholder driven type of centric organizations.
All right, guys, that's it. Reminder, we're early. It's incumbent upon us to make this, pave the road for everybody who's coming. Think of your kids, think of the future, make it better. Think of that when you're doing everything you're doing for this world. This is brand new. This is the internet, the beginning of it, and we get to make new rules. It's wild, wild west, so let's be careful, but think of the future. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Give it up, you
Thanks, all.
guys.